All right, Amadou Sow, welcome into the first Prolific Prep podcast. Recording right now. You're our first guest, the first alumni, and we got Coach Doherty in with us. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, man.
Doing well. Amadou, we appreciate your time. We are launching, since it's our 10-year anniversary, we are now launching a website dedicated to our alums and for current news for Prolific. We have players around the world. We want to hear their story. We want to see what's going on with them. You were our first player. You and Josh Jackson were our first two players in our program. And you were our first four-year player. And so tell us a little bit about where you're from, your journey, what you've been up to the last couple of years. We'd love to hear about what you've been doing the last couple of years.
For sure. I mean, most people probably know this, but I'm from Mali. Grew up there, moved to Napa at 15, and play with Prolific Prep. And but yeah, it's been a great journey. Went to school in Santa Barbara for 4 years, and I've been pro for 2 years now. So first year pro, I was in France, and second year I was in Slovenia, but I got cut short because of injuries and stuff. So, but yeah, I'm doing pretty well.
Got it. From Mali, West Africa, bilingual, speak multiple languages. Our first four-year player, Prolific Prep class of 2018. Being here 4 years, I mean, we can go on for hours and hours. Some of the things that you remember in your 4 years here, some of the relationships that you made. What were some of the things that helped you get to your journey? Obviously, you went to Santa Barbara. You were an all-league player for 4 years. You're one of the best players in the history of UC Santa Barbara. But during your 4 years here, what are some of the memories that you have?
Man, I have a lot of memories, man, living in Napa for 4 years. One thing that I always remember is my first I think my first night in Napa, earthquake happened. It was crazy at the time. I didn't speak any English. Man, it was a funny story till this day.
Big earthquake too. That wasn't a little shaker. That thing was powerful.
It was huge.
August 21st, 2014.
Yeah, it was big, man. I think that's one of the things I will never forget. First time, even hearing about the word earthquake and understanding what it was. It was crazy. But I have a great memory that I made throughout the year in Napa. That's just one little thing that I would always remember. But yeah, I mean, lived there for 4 years with my host family. Still in contact with them.
Aaron Fernandez and Amy Fernandez and their children.
Yeah, always go back in Napa. Whenever I go back, I'm staying there and hanging out with them. Their family. So always find ways to be back in Napa, and it feels like home for me. So it's great. A lot of memories. I can't just say that I would pick one specific one, but a lot of great memories in Napa for sure.
4 years in a program in a country that you had never been to before. You had two head coaches. I was your first head coach in that initial year.
Yeah.
I think half our practices were in French, since we both speak French, which is great. You had a teammate, Mamadou Diarra, that was also came over with you. Unique that instead of being in a dorm or with other students, you were with a family, and that family, the Fernandez family, was your host family for all 4 years in a highly competitive basketball program where you're going to school at a private school, you're learning all kinds of new things. Some of the reasons why potentially you were successful. Talk to us about some of the things that made you so successful, because your career, after leaving us, just continued to ascend in terms of college and professional. What were some of the things that made you so successful?
I think some of the things that that's not talked about enough is the relationships that you make along the way. with my host family. I mean, I would say they really instill something in me that I thought wasn't there. They kept me focused throughout the years, and always had great advice for me whenever I needed it. And also me just keeping the main thing. The main thing, basketball is one of the reasons why I moved here. And I just focus on that and school. Those two main things. When I think any student athlete, you really focus on those two things. The sky is the limit. I think those were my two things that I focused on, and just the rest is history.
You got on an airplane and you landed. Were you nervous? Were you scared? You were 15. You're coming to California. Did you know what was your vision in your brain of California? Was it oceans? Was it beaches? Was it the Warriors? I mean, from West Africa, you came from Mali.
Yeah, a lot of things. Honestly, a lot of things. I was nervous. The flight, especially my first flight from Mali to France. I was nervous once I got to the airport there. Like everything just changed from a small little airport in Mali to, I don't know, one of the biggest airports in the world. I think from there I knew, I'm looking for something, like I'm gonna see something that I've never seen before. Getting to San Francisco, also spend the first night in San Francisco. It's crazy. I mean, I wouldn't say it's something that I had imagined, but it's something that passed beyond what I was thinking that I was gonna see. Getting out of the airport, going throughout the city and see the buildings and all that stuff that I've never seen before live. Also just seeing people on the street. Everybody's busy. Like I've never really seen that in the streets of Mali, unless you go to where there's like commerce going. You will see busy people. Otherwise, in the street, you just see people mostly relaxed. But in the streets of San Francisco, it was busy, and it was a eye-opening sight for me. And some of the memories that I would probably tell my kids my first time in the U.S. So never forget. So
some of your favorite.
You come here, you can't speak English, and it's again all these new experiences. But you ended up playing all 4 years with so many different players: Josh Jackson, Gary Trent, Oni Aisi, Sekou Toure. I can keep going on. Jordan Brown, Namari Burnett. Talk about some of those players and if you still are in contact with them and some of those relationships.
Yeah, I mean, I try to keep in contact with most of the guys, especially on the Instagram. Whenever I see they post something, sometimes I reply and just quick check in and here and there. Some of the guys, I keep in contact on a regular basis, like Sekou and Nathan Mensah, obviously. And but yeah, there's a lot of guys, that I keep in contact and just chat with them here and there. And because we went to same school, kind of grew up together in that environment. So. And we made great memories too. So that's something that we share, and that's something that I want to keep on going.
Yeah, that's what makes me get so excited about building this site with Coach Phil, is because we're family and all you guys play together. And now I'm following you in Slovenia, Abu Kijab in Germany, Ira Lee in Israel. There's kids all over the world. And then Nathan Mensah just made the NBA, and it's so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah, it's a great time for sure. I mean, even me seeing all the guys' success, you could, look back and say, I play with this guy, and vice versa. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then, so Amadou, 4 years with us. We were on airplanes. We were in different cities. You actually got to tour the country playing basketball, it's almost like a traveling circus, or like you're a ballerina, and we go to this stage and play, and you go to Ohio and flying the hoop and hoop hall and all these and all the grind session and all these cities, and you almost get to you get to tour the country, which is a pretty large country.
Yeah, it was great. Flying. First year was Fridays. Second year started being Thursdays, and we don't get back to Sunday morning. It was great. It was great flying. Everywhere. Got to see the country a lot. Then, even I would say most U.S. citizens here. I'm very fortunate and blessed to. I was in that situation and got to see the world and than most people would have seen it. I'm very blessed for the opportunity that I had back then, and being able, every time I think about it, I always say, wow, I was here every weekend. I would go to a different state, different city, and seeing the country and meeting new people, it was great. It was a great time for sure.
The relationship, since I knew Tidiane Drami, right? Like, you have no idea. You come to a program, it could have been an awesome program. It could have been, we were a startup program, and the trust that you have with somebody that came from your country, and the languages we spoke, and just the connection. There's some kids that come to the United States and they may not go to a good program, or they may not have a host family like the Fernandez family, or they may not have teammates like the ones you've just mentioned. Part of it is luck, but part of it is also, you earn an opportunity to come to a really good program because you were talented and you worked hard and you were an elite student, which then allowed you the opportunity to choose college for university. And you had the option to choose so many different schools because you got better and better and better. You played at an unbelievable high school program in Prolific Prep. You got to play during the summer with the Oakland Soldiers, right? You and Sekou, as starters for the Oakland Soldiers, led them to a Peach Jam championship, which is the last Peach Jam championship they've won. Yeah. And so here you are immersed in American basketball, which is different culture, language, and for 4 years building, and then having to figure out college, right? Like, do you go to UCLA, or do you go to Cal Berkeley? Do you go to Colorado? Do you go to Washington State? Do you go to UC Santa Barbara? You had all these choices, which is good and bad, right? Sometimes when you have too many good choices. What were some of the things that you were thinking about as you were entering college? Because college for you was also a vehicle for education. You wanted to get a college degree, which in your family, coming to the United States is a huge goal. So what was your thought process as towards the end of your career with us and trying to figure out college and going through all that as an international student?
I think the biggest thing, for me picking, a college was mostly based on like a relationship with the coach, that knowing, I'm going to play for this coach for 4 years, because I've never been the type of player or person to, want to change scenery all the time. I think that's what made me pick Santa Barbara. I had a great, first conversation with the coach, with Joe Pasternak, and, after that, the rest is history. Been able to this day, we still talk. I go to their practices since I'm here now. It's a great relationship that I have with him. And I think that's what allowed me, to choose Santa Barbara over all these other schools that you had mentioned. But yeah, and I'm glad I made the choice to come here. They're top 10 in the country when it comes to academics. So I'm very happy and blessed to have a degree from Santa Barbara. So.
I'll tell you, Amadou, that's the one thing I'm so proud of you about. Not only are you an amazing human being and a great basketball player, but you were also such a great student. You were named a student athlete of the year, I believe, at Santa Barbara, which that's an amazing award. Very amazing.
Yeah, the 3.7 GPA. You were all conference for 4 years. You broke 3 different school records, but you played a lot, which allowed you to also launch your professional career. Did you feel as though, you had a really good coach in high school at Prolific with Billy McKnight, really, really good coach. He coached professionally in China. He coached in college. He coached at the University of Oregon. I would consider him a really close friend, very intelligent, just a tactician, but just a good human being too.
Yeah.
Did you feel as though you were prepared for college? Because right now, college kids are a little bit older because of the COVID year and in the fifth years and all that, which wasn't around when you were, but still, the kids are older. Did you feel as though you were pretty prepared, or you?
I was pretty prepared. I give a lot of credit to Coach Billy when it comes to getting my mental state ready for what I was about to experience in college. With him and the way he structured our practices, the way he went about our day to day, and it was very similar to what I went through in college. Helping us, making sure we have a study hall. And that's one of the biggest things in college. We have study hall on the road. We had that in high school. So I was pretty much what I was introduced to in college. I've already seen it. I've already been in that environment with Prolific Prep, and thanks to Coach Billy for those type of environment that he had created for us throughout.
And playing against like DeAndre Ayton. I think you played DeAndre Ayton like nine times in 4 years, and he was the first overall pick. And on the grind session, you're playing guys from around the world, and a lot of the international students were some of the best players. But the competition, you had competition at practice, right, with your teammates and all the guys that Rick mentioned, and the list goes long: the Gary Trents, the Josh Jacksons, the Jordan Browns, the Onyeka Isis, the Nathan Menses, et cetera, the Pierre Crockrells, the Sekou Touris, the Dempsey Rogenbucks, just so many guys, right? So you have competition at practice, and then you go and play, and usually the teams we play are pretty good. So then you're like, okay, maybe they don't have a shooter like Gary, but maybe you're playing against really good players. But I mean, you played DeAndre Ayton like 10 times.
For sure. I mean, competition was great at practice. So sometimes, in games, it didn't really feel like a big competition because already in our team, like we had guys, any five who could start any night, and you had to come out of practice every day and compete. And Coach Billy wasn't messing around. If you're not competing, you're not gonna get playing time. So every practice was like a game. So when it comes to game time, it was a lot easier for us to manage and play fun, and it was just a great time. Every time I think about it, it's a great time. Playing with such a talented group, and seeing every pretty much like every year there's 2-3 professional players coming out of Prolific Prep. So it's just great knowing
you and Josh started it. You, Josh, and Mamadou, you started it. I mean, you were the first players entering our program in 2014. If you had to give advice to a young Amadou that's right now in Bamako, Mali, who's taking a bus for 2 hours every day to go to find a place to train and go to school like you did in Mali to prepare yourself, and what advice would you give a young Amadou Sow, the next Amadou in Bamako, Mali? What advice would you give him? I mean, you've experienced so many things here.
So many. I mean, one thing I would say is just the biggest advice, and just would be like to my young self, I would say, not that he didn't, but I would say keep trusting the process. Be patient. Because there were times where patience wasn't an option. As a kid, you want everything now and you want everything fast. Sometimes, you weren't patient. And also, I think also I would tell him, be thankful, not that he isn't, but be more thankful to the small things. Not everything lasts forever. And I think that would be it, really. Those little details that matters, that carry on forever. So pay attention to those little things and emphasize those for sure.
Amadou, I got a question for you. What athletes eat is so important. And one of my favorite things about you were always up ready for breakfast every morning. I can't tell you how many times I had breakfast with you on the road, whether in Paducah or Nashville or wherever around the country. How has your diet affected you for your play in college and now in playing pro basketball?
I mean, it's energy. The biggest thing is breakfast is gonna start your day with energy and start your day with a lot of energy. The sky's the limit. Not everybody. You're not gonna get grumpy throughout the day or early morning, afternoon. Get mad at teammate for small little things. I think it just helped me just be happy, really. Have that energy about me and just carry it on and spread it throughout my teams and just enjoy where I was and kept that going. Honestly,
I have two last questions. One, we're in our 10th year, and we have a team currently you've never met. What message would you want to give to the 10th prolific prep team? A team, that you graduated in 2018, then you graduated from college in 2022. You're a 2-year professional. Message to our current team.
Man, the message would be not everything is not how do I say this? Things are not always how they seem. You know, things might be well for them prolific right now. It might be a couple years from there, they might not be the same. I would say just be grateful and and enjoy your time there and know that you're setting yourself up for the future.
And my last question is, I mean, and this, this list could go long, but you have the platform now. Say thank you to whomever you want to say thank you, because your journey was long. Your journey was unique. You came here at 14, 15 years old. You're now a college graduate. People like Justine Leone, the Fernandez family. The platform's yours in terms of, who you want to thank, and because I know it means a lot to you, because you're a very honorable person. You care a lot about others.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, always gonna thank the Fernandez family, the Grace Church community. Justice Center community, the Napa Christian community, Mrs. Leone, yourself and Jeremy and Coach Billy, for all you guys for coming together and making this happen for the youth and just keep that going for a decade and still going, and that's amazing. I'm just grateful that I was part of that for 4 years and glad that you guys are keeping it going and for the next generation to come, and very thankful for that, and hopefully all the young men that are going through your program are feeling the same way as well.
You are our first international player. We've had kids from 26 countries in 10 years.
Yep.
And it could have been more, but 26 countries is still a lot. We're a global international program, very unique, right, in the Bay Area, with a school principal that born in Zimbabwe and a co-director or a co-founder of the program that was born overseas, and we have a Napa community. But you affected us just as much as we affected you. You taught us humility. You taught us how to persevere when English wasn't your first language. You were, first month here, student of the month, and English was your third language. You kind of led the charge in terms of really working hard with never complaining and also showing love to your teammates and being a bigger brother to other international students that were coming in. And so people look up to you. You're one of those that, because of who you are as a person, people look up to you. So we want to thank you for just also carrying on your journey and legacy wherever you go right now. And you're currently doing, you're representing our program. You're representing your country. You're representing your continent. You're representing your school. And there's not many better people that can actually do that than you, because of all the things you've accomplished in the classroom and outside. We root for you. We know you're going to heal up with your knee. We root for you from afar, from close. Sometimes we see you in the summer. People look up to you, and we're very thankful that you took that journey with us as one of the first 2 or 3 players in the history of our program. So thank you, Amadou Sow, for all that you've done for us and the players in our program.
Man, thank you guys as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being the first guest also, Amadou. It's
First guest.
I can't for anyone to do better than you did.
It was easier than the first airplane ride, where he led.
Well, I was telling Coach Phil earlier, the first trip I ever did with Prolific, we went to Kansas. And I was talking to you and Sekou for 3 days. And you're like shaking your head, saying, okay, yes, yes. And finally, Dave looks at me when we're all the way back in Denver. He goes, they can't speak English. They have no idea what you're saying. I'm like, really? And then 6 months later, we're talking like we're best friends. It's awesome. So, well, Amadou, thank you so very much for joining us today. And get well soon. We cannot wait to see you back out on that basketball court.
For sure. Thank you guys for having me.
Merci, Amadou. Thank you. Class of 2018, Amadou Sow.
Yeah,